I unlocked the front door of our home just after 8:30 p.m., expecting to hear my wife's voice somewhere inside. Instead, the house was silent. Another night. Another message from Naomi Parker. Running late again, Ethan. Big project. Don't wait up. I stared at the text longer than I should have. For nearly 8 months, my wife had worked late almost every evening. She always had a reasonable explanation. A demanding client. An emergency meeting. A quarterly deadline. I believed every word because trust had always been the foundation of our marriage. I tossed my keys onto the kitchen counter and reheated leftovers she had made that Sunday. The food had become routine. The silence had become routine. Even eating alone had become routine. That night, though, something felt different. Not suspicious. Just empty. The next morning, while making coffee, I noticed a small gift bag sitting beside the dining table. Inside was an expensive fountain pen. A handwritten card read, "Thank you for always staying late with me. Couldn't have done this without you." There was no signature. I assumed it came from one of Naomi's co-workers. When she walked downstairs, she quickly picked up the bag. "Oh, that's from someone on the team." She smiled naturally. Too naturally. I nodded without asking another question. That was what trust looked like. Or at least what I believed trust looked like. 3 days later, my company announced that we would finish early because of a software outage. For the first time in months, I was leaving work before 5. An idea crossed my mind. I would surprise Naomi. Maybe bring dinner to her office. Maybe remind both of us what life used to feel like before endless deadlines took over. I stopped by an upscale Italian restaurant and ordered her favorite mushroom ravioli. I even bought a small bouquet of white lilies because she once told me they reminded her of our wedding. The drive across downtown Chicago felt strangely exciting. I imagined her smile when I walked through the office doors. I imagined everyone teasing her about having such a thoughtful husband. When I arrived, the building looked almost empty. The receptionist glanced up politely. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to surprise my wife. Naomi Parker." She typed something into her computer. Then she frowned. "I'm sorry. I don't see anyone by that name." I laughed. Maybe she's already upstairs. The receptionist slowly shook her head. "Sir, we don't have anyone named Naomi Parker working here." For a second, I thought she had looked at the wrong company. I pointed toward the building logo outside. "This is Sterling Financial Solutions, right?" "Yes. My wife has worked here for over 3 years." The receptionist looked genuinely confused. "I'm very sorry." "She hasn't." My stomach tightened. I pulled out my phone and showed her Naomi's office selfies. She stared carefully. I've never seen this woman before. Every sound around me suddenly disappeared. The elevators, the phones, the conversations. Everything became distant. I walked back to my car carrying cold food and dying flowers. Halfway home, I realized something terrifying. I had absolutely no idea where my wife went every evening. For the first time since we married, I decided not to call her. Instead, I waited. At exactly 9:47 p.m., she came through the front door looking exhausted. She kissed my cheek. "Long day." I forced myself to smile. "How was work?" She answered without hesitation. "Meetings all afternoon." I watched her eyes. No hesitation. No guilt. Just calm confidence. That frightened me more than if she had panicked. Over the next week, I quietly paid attention. She always left home around 8:15 every morning. She always returned between 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night. Everything looked perfectly normal, until Saturday morning. While Naomi showered, her phone buzzed. The screen lit up. The message preview simply read, "Same place Monday." No name, just a number. She quickly grabbed the phone before I could see anything else. Later that afternoon, I hired a private investigator. I hated myself for doing it, but I hated not knowing even more. 5 days later, he called. "I don't think your wife is having an affair." My heart slowed. Then he continued, "But she's definitely hiding something." He slid a folder across the cafe table. Inside were photographs. Naomi entering the same old brick building every evening. Not an office, not a hotel, not another man's apartment. It was a neighborhood community center on the west side of Chicago. The investigator shrugged. "I watched for 3 nights. She stays until nearly 10. Never leaves with anyone." I couldn't get inside. Curiosity replaced fear. The following Monday, I parked across the street and watched. At 5:58 p.m., Naomi walked inside carrying several cardboard boxes. Children suddenly rushed toward her. They hugged her. Some laughed. One little girl wrapped both arms around Naomi's waist and refused to let go. My wife knelt down and hugged her back with tears in her eyes. I couldn't understand what I was seeing. After nearly an hour, I finally walked inside. The hallway walls were covered with children's drawings, old photographs, donation posters. A volunteer greeted me warmly. "Can I help you? I'm looking for Naomi Parker." She smiled immediately. "Oh, Miss Naomi is in classroom 3. She's one of our best volunteers." Volunteers. The word echoed in my head. I slowly opened the classroom door. Nearly 20 children sat around tables doing homework. Naomi stood at the whiteboard explaining fractions. She turned around. Our eyes met. The marker slipped from her hand. Every child looked between us. "Ethan," her voice barely existed. I quietly asked if we could talk outside. Neither of us spoke for almost a full minute. Finally, she whispered, "I'm sorry." I expected excuses. Instead, she simply cried. Real tears. Not defensive ones. "I lied about the office. But I never lied because I stopped loving you." She explained everything. Almost a year earlier, her younger brother, Daniel, had died unexpectedly. Very few people knew that before becoming an engineer, Daniel had spent years mentoring children whose parents were incarcerated or struggling with addiction. After his funeral, Naomi visited the center where he volunteered. She planned to donate some of his belongings. Instead, she stayed. The children remembered Daniel. They missed him. One little boy asked whether someone else would still help them finish homework every night. Naomi couldn't say no. At first, she volunteered once a week, then twice, eventually every weekday. She knew I had been planning to surprise her with a luxury anniversary vacation. She also knew the center desperately needed funding. So she secretly redirected nearly every dollar from her annual bonus to keep the after-school program alive. The expensive clothes she stopped buying. The vacations she postponed. The jewelry she claimed she no longer wanted. It had all gone there. I was ashamed to tell you. I thought you'd think I cared more about strangers than about us. I looked through the classroom window. Every child inside was smiling because of her. One small boy was proudly holding up a math worksheet. Another little girl was reading aloud beside a volunteer. Then I noticed something hanging on the wall. A framed photograph. Daniel, standing beside those same children. Beneath it were simple words. "One caring adult can change a child's future." Suddenly, every late night made sense. Every missed dinner. Every mysterious phone call. Every unexplained expense. None of it had been about betrayal. It had been about carrying someone else's unfinished promise. I took Naomi's hand. "You should have trusted me." She nodded through tears. "I know. I was afraid. You didn't marry someone who needed protecting. You married someone who wanted to stand beside you." The following month, we made the decision together. Instead of spending nearly $30,000 on the anniversary vacation we had been saving for, we donated it to expand the community center. We helped renovate 3 classrooms. We funded scholarships. We started a technology lab. The children named it the Daniel Parker Learning Room. Sometimes life changes forever because trust is broken. Sometimes it changes because hidden kindness is finally revealed. I drove to that building expecting to discover the worst day of my marriage. Instead, I found the greatest part of my wife's heart. That surprise didn't destroy our relationship. It rebuilt it on something even stronger than trust. It rebuilt it on understanding.